Welcome back to The Pursuit of Happiness. We're talking about the race fallacy today, and with my guest, David Daniel, we are going to talk on this half of the show about healing. One thing I like about The Pursuit of Happiness, even though it's my show, I like it anyway, but one thing I try to do is to present a problem and then come up with some solutions. So we're going to talk about healing. What can we do to heal this? You know, what I find with the races in this country, everybody hates everybody. You know, it's like when I'm with Spanish people, they hate the whites. When I'm with whites, they hate the Spanish and everybody else, and the Indians, but see, everybody hate everybody, and the blacks hate the whites, and you know, and it just keeps going on and around, and we forget the Indians, and we also forget the Asians, and you know, it's like a big part of when we're together, hey, it's fine, but then when, you know, behind my back, you know, you talk about me.
Or tell jokes.
Yeah, and tell jokes. All of these racial jokes, and what gets me is, I was at the movie the other day. I didn't want to bring this up right now, but now that I thought about it, I went to the movie to see Money Train, and it made me so mad. It wasn't because they used the N-word, but it was the way they used the N-word. It was only one racial slur in the whole movie. And you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to use racial slurs, you know, give everybody a chance to be insulted. Just don't insult. Just, you know, don't put one in there. So that was what really made me mad. And when I see stuff like that, how can we heal this problem, this race problem we have?
Well, there are several things that we can do. It is a well-known ancient proverb, the beginning of wisdom is to call things by their real name. So I'd like to start with that. We haven't really faced what happened in our country. Americans will willingly face and talk about Nazi Germany, but that, of course, Hitler lived in another country, and Nazi Germany happened somewhere else.
Nazi Germany, Hitler got some of his information from Americans, so
yes.
I'd like to put that in there.
But we have not really come to terms, our country has not come to terms with what European American males did to African Americans or to Native Americans. We haven't really faced that. One of the reasons, of course, is because it happened in our own country. You know, we'd like to wash our hands of anything that happened and really not sort of like be in denial that our ancestors were criminals. But we really need to face the truth. We are willing to say that the Nazis were criminals. We are willing to say that they were criminals because they killed people. But we are not so willing to say our ancestors were criminals. They kidnapped people and brought them here against their will and made them work against their will. That is a crime also. Anyone knows that that's a crime to kidnap somebody and then force them into labor. But when we talk about slavery, we speak of it, first of all, in the wrong language. It was not the transatlantic slave trade, because there weren't slaves. No one can own another person. It was the transatlantic kidnapping and enslavement. It was something that somebody actively did to another group of people who did not deserve it. We need to start using the right terms. And they were not slaves, they were enslaved persons. They were actively enslaved.
We also need to inform the people of the history. I find a lot of people don't know the history of this, like when Columbus came over. This was a Spanish people, Spanish-speaking people from Europe who came through South America and just conquered and destroyed. All of these people killed millions of people, and then we think about the European American, the British, and we need to kind of separate, you know, separate the here I go racist. Since you told me that, I don't want to say racist, but we need to separate them because a lot of Irish came over here and they were discriminated against at the same time that African Americans were brought over here and they were discriminated against also. Because what I want to say is that the fear behind this whole thing, what really started it, is the cotton, King Cotton of America. Everyone had to live off of this cotton, and they would have enslaved the white Americans also just to get this cotton done, but they enslaved the black man. You see what I'm saying? So in order to get this cotton and make the money and transfer it over to Europe. So a lot of people around the world who profited from all of this.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Mm-hmm.
The subject you were just talking about, I'd like to bring up, when that occurred, though, when European Americans enslaved African Americans, or originally Africans, because the human conscience really can't allow us to do things unless we somehow misperceive what we're doing and say, oh, we're not doing that, we're doing this. They had to force themselves to misperceive Africans and to consider them a lower people and to consider them less intelligent people and a people that it was necessary to enslave. And they even said, you know, they can't live by themselves anyway, they need us to.
And they had to become lower themselves. They perceived the slave as lower, but their act itself made them lower than the people that they were enslaving. Right. And also, another thing about this country, and I always like to point this out, this is why we had the Civil War, because there were certain Americans who did not want slavery in this country. Would you believe our time is almost up?
Is it?
we didn't even begin. You must come back again. But you know what? Some healing things that we can do was say briefly what you said before.
Okay, one is to really face what happened. Now, Roots did a real good job of having us face some of the crime that was involved. But we really have to admit
that we were wrong.
That we were wrong, and that this was a crime, and that some sort of, I don't know, apology or something in that order.
Also, but you know what I think? What we also need to do is help the people who think they're so superior. We have to raise their self-esteem up. I wanted to get that in because people have very low self-esteem. It doesn't matter if you've been oppressed or if you think you're God, you still have a problem. And I think that we really have to start raising people's self-esteem up. And you know what I want to do? I want to do one thing before we go, and I want to read this poem. Maybe this could help. I don't know who wrote it. People always give me poems, and this is just, it's a beautiful one. You are a celebration of life. I know the quality of what I have, and it cannot be devalued. I know the source of all my strength, and I have tapped into its power. I know the beauty of my soul, and that it cannot be altered. I know I am God's child. I know I am God's child. I know I am a treasure, and my preciousness is real. I know these feelings in me now are only passing through. I know that it's my right to be joyous and free. And I know I am God's child. I know I am God's child. I feel the power of a love that is constant and all-giving. I feel the pull to goodness within me even now. I feel your strength embrace me as I tremble in this time. I can comfort my child. I can comfort my child. I love that. I feel better. So basically we have 3 minutes left, so we have to wrap this up real fast. But I think that raising people's self-esteem and reading these wonderful poems like this and getting to know yourself, and you want to...
Facing our true history and calling things by their real name and really understanding what happened, more than just reading about what happened or thinking about what happened, understanding what happened.
And also, I'm just adding in, think of a little more. Also, what we need to do, we need to stop exploiting people's race in movies and on television. We need to stop making these racial slurs and using the N-word and all the rest of the words, because first of all, it is not your right. It is no one's right to insult me and my race on national TV or anywhere else, because this is what caused people to get violent, okay?
And to stop presenting such stereotypes on TV, while you're on TV, while you're talking about TV.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think that we also need to educate the adults. People always say educate the children. It's the adults who's teaching the children all of this stuff.
Right.
I think we need some education in the workplace. We have 1 minute left. Is there anything you want to tell our audience before you go?
There's many things. I guess I'd just like to say that when you read a history book, start thinking of the perspective of other people who are in your history book. I'll leave with my daughter came home from school one day. She's in 3rd grade. Last year in 2nd grade, she came home and she said, "Dad, how did Christopher Columbus discover America if there were already people living here?"
Great.
She's already thinking critically about what she reads.
That's wonderful. And thank you once again for tuning in to The Pursuit of Happiness. I'm Cleophelia Meek, your host, and have a wonderful, wonderful Christmas.
You're still a bit afraid, a little nervous today. You've never done this before, now it's your time. There are eyes all around, and they are all on you. There's a tear in yours, it's your time to shine. To shine. You do have a light in you, and it's okay to let it show. Yes, you do have a light in you, one that proves you have a soul, so let it go. Yes, you do have a light in you, and it's okay